It is. Who said that?
The computer.
All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. And first, it's nice to be back, like, in the building, live people.
Absolutely.
First order of business is to review the minutes from last meeting. Did either of you have any changes?
I have none.
All right, motion.
I'll make a motion to approve as distributed.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Nicely done, Jane.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes of May 10th as presented.
Second motion.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Jimmy, you want me to forge your signature?
No, I'll be home next week. I'll sign it then.
Oh, you will be home next week?
I will, yeah.
Dad's doing good?
He's doing great.
Good, glad to hear it.
Does John know you're coming back?
No,
Surprise. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, we have a letter here looking for us to approve, actually a memorandum for us to approve regarding the water meter parts regulations that goes out with the land use permits. This is updated from whatever the last letter was.
It's updated because my name's now on it, not
Mhm.
James.
Is that the only update?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Carol changed that, and there was a date, I guess.
Yeah, it's very minor, but it just made it correct that Jack's now.
Oh, all right, I was trying to think, what, like, did the parts change or
No.
what?
Nope,
It's
nope.
just the, oh,
Really,
And there's a date
Formality.
or something, very minor.
and
Jack,
Carol did check with Nate and he said everything still looks good, so.
all right, I'll make a motion to approve the new water meter parts letter for the land use
Second.
permits. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That was easy. All right, next on the agenda is a special event permit application from Castleberry Fairs, and we have since the agenda was done, got a letter from Terry Mullen of Castleberry Fairs that they're withdrawing their special event application. They've not worked out a agreement with the landlord of the site where they normally have it. She did say in her letter, she's asking for assistance from the Board of Selectmen in helping us find another suitable venue to host our wonderful Lincoln events. And I, reading that to publicly announce that they're looking to come back here, they just can't do it in that same location.
and Ron can speak to it, but he did speak with, why don't you explain, Ron?
Yeah, I did speak with the owner of Days Inn, and he would like to have a conversation with her. He believes he could probably be a suitable place for her with that big, well, used to be called the tennis court building, and they do have property right behind there also, so.
It's at least one contact.
And there may be other
Yep.
places that are
Right.
appropriate to have this. So anyway, just putting the word out there. All right, let's move on.
I'll make a motion to accept the letter to rescind the Castleberry Fair from the owner.
Do you want to second that?
Do we need a motion in a second?
Well,
I
makes
mean,
it official.
It's kind of redundant. I mean, I don't think we need it, but
All right, all those in favor?
I mean, whether we accept or not,
Yeah,
whether we accept that letter or not, Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right, she's withdrawing the
Okay.
letter if we don't accept the withdrawal. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's move on to the town manager's report.
Okay, a few things. The library, if you probably already know, it has reopened. It reopened on Monday, the 17th, and the hours are as follows: Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Curbside from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it says Carol Riley is looking to hire a second person to work from Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., excuse me, so that there is more than one employee at the library at night. That's that. So let's make that statement. Tax billings, mailings went out. Per town council, was fine to put the STR ordinance in the spring tax bill. Tax bill were mailed, and we know for a fact that people will be getting them starting as early as tomorrow morning. So you'll start seeing your tax bill, so that's good for cash flow purposes and everything. We're good. This next one, 35 Goodwill Road, Raymond Corial. If you remember, Mr. Corial built into the setback some months ago, and actually came to the ZBA and got a ZBA variance because it was a very small portion of his home. Well, Mr. Corial then proceeded to add on to his garage and actually build another structure, not only in the setback, but in our right-of-way, the town's road right-of-way. So after discussion with Ron, I authorized Ron issued a written cease and desist, and gave him 20 days from the receipt to remove the structures from our right-of-way. That did get his attention, but he immediately has applied for another ZBA hearing to get an approval to build in the town's right-of-way, to have a structure, which I don't know where it's going, but the cease and desist is still in effect. He has until June, I believe it's June 10th. And I just want the board to know that this is as our procedures, we went from verbal. Here's a gentleman who had been to the ZBA, and quite frankly, the ZBA was very generous and gave him a corner of his garage stuck into the setback, and they didn't make him cut it off. And then immediately goes and builds more. So, as your enforcer, I'm just saying, we're trying to make it enough is enough. So he's the first one into the new system. I just want to publicly say that we've taken action, and can't stop him from going to the ZBA. So I have no idea what's happened there, but and then this was done, and Attorney Malia says that failure to complete it would then require court action. We would then have to take him to court. So that's in progress. I just want the board up to speed on that.
All right, and when you clarified, the first ZBA application was for porch.
Yeah, corner of his porch, the permitted renovation addition.
Yeah.
Got caught there, and he had to do an application with the town, then he had to go to the ZBA because he crossed over to the setback area, and then he just assumed that, I got that one out. Well, I can't assume.
Yeah, let's not put words in his mouth.
But
But here's
the facts
my concern is the ZBA by law is allowed to grant exceptions, waivers, whatever. They did that previously with the porch and said, okay, if you've built into the setback area, and they can waive that requirement. However, building on the town's right-of-way, that's not a setback area, that's our property,
That's trespassing.
okay? I don't believe the ZBA has any authority over allowing them to do that. I believe it's this board right here,
Well,
that we could grant a real estate easement for him to do that or not.
that's what Attorney Malia said, but we don't have the authority to tell him he can't go. He can do whatever he wants.
Okay,
We will have to rely on the ZBA to,
A lot of that garage, that addition that he put his pontoon boat in is in the setback. Because the original garage, when it was built back in the early 80s, is almost abutting the property line to the neighbor. So a good portion of his original garage is in the setback, and he chose to expand on the side that was in the setback. So there's only a sliver of that addition that he put on this past year that is actually not in the setback. So the ZBA is gonna have to weigh in. Are they gonna allow that entire structure in the setback area, and then you've gotta deal with the portion that crosses over into the entire right of way.
okay, so the ZBA has the right to allow him to encroach into the setback on his own land. The part that sticks out
The 2.5 feet, yeah.
into the town, I don't believe the ZBA has any authority to grant or not grant that it's
I
not part
wouldn't
of
think
it.
so.
But is Attorney Melly gonna be at the hearing?
I believe, I'm gonna have him.
I think he needs to be there to make sure that the ZBA understands what they're allowed to, and I don't want to interfere with them. If they want to grant it, that's their prerogative. If they don't want to grant it, that's their prerogative. I have no say in that. But the part that's on town land, I believe this board
I think I'll send
would have to
a note
grant
to the
that.
ZBA chairman advising that, if you don't mind, that because it's on town property, we would like town council to be
Okay,
at his hearing.
Well, again, he may suggest that they remand it to the Board of Selectmen, that aspect of it, the part
yeah,
that impedes onto the,
yeah.
encroaches onto the town right away. So that would be Peter Malu's decision. I mean, he could take it to the ZBA if he so desires, but if they don't have jurisdiction, then they
Well,
can't.
I think they will have jurisdiction over the amount in the setback, and I
Right,
guess
in the
it's pretty
setback, but I'm
substantial.
talking about the town portion.
Right, right.
Town
No, I
right
think
away.
the order is to go to the ZBA first, because if they don't grant him to allow him in the setback, then the part out in the town portion of
That's
the
a good
property
point.
is irrelevant. But if they do grant the setback, then we have a decision to make.
Okay, that's a good point.
So,
Yeah, we'll just let it play out.
yeah, but again, I think we should make sure that the attorney is there to keep
Okay.
those two issues separate.
And that doesn't include the portion that was built on the backside of the garage to cover the hot tub. That's probably in the setback area on the backside of that original garage.
Yeah, there's a hot tub, which,
When was that addition?
That was done sometime this winter or early this spring.
Oh, okay, so it was done after you got the first
Yeah.
ZBA variance,
Oh, yeah.
but before
Well,
you.
this was done after I caught him with the pontoon, we'll call it the pontoon boat enclosure addition. He since has put a cover over his hot tub on the backside of the garage, so he added on to the backside of the structure also. That is partially in the setback. So, yeah, we'll let the ZBA do
Okay.
that thing.
Let the ZBA do its thing.
Do we know if he paid the water points for that hot tub?
I'm looking into that.
yeah,
I doubt it.
our guess is
Good
no.
point.
Yeah. Okay, in your folders, you got, Ray Corver was able to, you haven't had, obviously had time to
Yeah.
review it, but I think it's very well written on the water sewer capacity with recommendations. And I think this is a document that the town can use going forward with the annual updates that he's suggesting. Shows that we have capacity now for everything that's planned, everything that's approved, and even not built, but approved, as you read through it. But, so I think it's a very good report and something that we can use for quite a while to come. So, obviously, looking for your input once you get a chance to read it in depth. The Castleberry Fair, obviously, we just dealt with that, so I don't need to talk about that. And everything else, I have just two things for non-public. One is the South litigation. the
Right, and the deposition
And then,
dates.
and then a personnel update.
Okay.
Yep.
We have a letter from Phil Bodwell, an
Oh,
email, about an initial meeting with the DRA.
Yeah, it'll be the meeting with the DRA. They just confirmed the outline of how the town's gonna be told. I guess they do it with every town.
Mhm.
And so this is the one meeting that they have with the assessor and the town, whoever represents the town, just to lay out that everybody's on the same page as far as the methodology that's gonna be used and how it's gonna unfold. Did they suggest a member of the board attend along with, they asked for me, but they also would like a board member to attend.
Or multiple board
Well,
members.
multiple,
Right.
we'd have to call a meeting if it's more than one, obviously.
You know,
so.
I would like to join that meeting, but would welcome either other board member who wants to be there. It's an interesting process, and it's one of those things, the more we know about how the process works, the easier it is to make decisions as we go along. I do have a conflict with that time, and if they can be flexible, I have a 9 o'clock meeting on that day. They want to meet at 10. If they could move that to 11, it'd be no problem.
Can they Zoom it?
It is a Zoom meeting.
It is a Zoom.
It's a Zoom meeting, but I still, I won't be available at 10.
Sure.
I could even be 10:30 would be okay. If they could move it till 10:30 or 11, I could make it.
To 10:30 or 11. Okay, I'll find out tomorrow morning. Yeah,
And if you could, once you know which one it is, let me know, and if you could post it, because I'd love to just listen.
okay, yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, and was there a discussion with the Woodstock board over the solid waste rates?
Yeah, and it went, they had no issues.
Okay, and what about the wood?
Brush.
Brush,
Rush, they,
did they,
It'd be too difficult to try to
Weigh.
come up way and this and that, and, you know, they felt, I think it was unanimous, and correct me, Tammy, I think it was unanimous that, you know, it's not something that we would want
Leave
to
it like it is. Yeah.
the guy taking a barrel of leaves down, you're gonna waste more manpower weighing the barrel of leaves or a flat fee versus, you know, some heavy duty,
And I think
heaviest
they
duty stuff,
used the term,
even the commercial.
one or more of the Woodstock board used the term just cost of doing business, and
Yeah.
they just.
okay, that's fine. I was good either way.
I
Um,
did
but-
notice that we approved the changes that Nate suggested as far as charging, but that hasn't been posted on the website under the solid waste fee schedule yet.
It will be.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it will be,
Okay.
it just hasn't got to it yet.
There was,
Don't worry.
there was an issue about the paving of the road into it.
Okay,
Woodstock did not feel, at least one member of the board from Woodstock did not feel that that was part of the maintenance of the facility. And therefore, they shouldn't have to be partners on that. So I think Woodstock's looking around for a new recycling facility. No.
No, it wasn't that bad. And the town of Lincoln
It
knows
was,
that town of Lincoln is solely responsible for Main Street to the railroad tracks. And we know that and we understand that. But from the railroad tracks and then throughout the recycling facility, we believe it's a shared expense. There needed to be some research done. And I don't know, OJ, you must remember, I was on the budget committee at the time when there was an issue, a legal issue with the town of Woodstock having ownership in the property. And it was like a $1,500 check that we had to cut to them to get back 100% ownership of the property. But they still are responsible for 50% of the operations and maintenance of it. Their contention, and it was Gil's contention, was that paving it is not a maintenance issue. And I 100% disagree. And I think that the feeling I got from the other two Woodstock selectmen is that they weren't sure that was in fact true or not. So we were gonna do some research on that document from, gosh, it had to have been 12 years ago, 15 years ago that happened, that whole, do you remember that? I think you were on the budget committee as well.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that issue, but I can't remember any of the details of it. But
Right,
to me, it seemed like a housekeeping type of an issue. It wasn't controversial. It wasn't changing anything. And that the kind of the theory behind it is it's almost like a land lease, except for no payments are made, but the town of Lincoln owns the land,
right,
but the solid waste district is basically leasing that as a land lease, which means they have the right to use the land, but all of that development and all of that is up to the tenant.
Dare
Just
expect.
regrading and moving all those blocks to set up the new metal recycling stuff, that's not a responsibility of the town of Lincoln, it's responsibility of the solid waste district.
Right,
Just as is everything down there. They can't cut our pavement and put in a scale if the pavement is ours. It's
Right.
district's pavement.
That's a good point right there.
It's
we were gonna do the research and get that document out, distribute it to the boards, and then I believe have either them join us via Zoom or we join them via Zoom again within the next couple of weeks and just iron it out before Nate needs to pave, that's all.
The gentleman, Mr. Rand, I believe it was,
Yeah.
that brought up the issue, he indicated that he was going to talk with their legal counsel. And
okay.
that's how it was
Yeah,
left.
we have to find the original agreement.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna go back to the 1980s
Yeah,
agreement. Whatever we did, like you said, a dozen years ago with straightening out that payment,
That'd be in the parole files, wouldn't it?
it'd be in the what?
In the parole, is it parole or?
Oh,
parole.
yeah, that'd be back in the, no, the solid waste district preceded him.
Oh, it did?
Okay, so it's going back.
So we've had updated solid waste agreements since then. So there's got to be a file on it.
True. All
We'll
right.
look, see what we can find.
All right. Is
Something Miss Jane to do in her spare.
I'm not saying anything over here.
Is the
No, I should be
road
able to find it.
scheduled to be redone this year?
Yeah.
Oh, it was on
Yeah,
this
so-
list?
And I think the portion that they were talking about was $11,000.
I think so. It's down around, it's not the road so much, it's down around inside the facility, down the second, beyond the second gate.
Okay.
Down in there, it was this year.
I mean, you could also look historically at who's paid for installing the pavement and
Yeah,
Both everybody,
over the last,
both towns, I mean.
when was that built? The late 70s?
When the incinerator?
yes.
Yeah, it was the incinerator, yeah.
I mean, shortly after I moved here,
Yeah, long time.
so.
Okay, yeah. So we'll look into that. Yeah, we'll see if we can find that agreement. That'll be a good search.
We can put that on the agenda in the meeting. We don't meet for 2 weeks, so we'll stick it on there to,
Let's put that on the agenda, you're right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, I didn't have anything else other than the CRBI.
I had a couple of things. We have one that we got an email from Dave Taber, the Linwood Ambulance, chief of the Linwood Ambulance for the proclamation for EMS week. And we didn't meet last week. Did we meet? We didn't meet last week, did we?
Not, no.
No. So it's kind of a week late, but do we want to read that anyway, that proclamation? And it's proclaimed designating the week of May 16th to the 22nd, 2021 as Emergency Medical Services Week, which, I mean, we're kind of behind the 8 ball here by a couple of days, but I mean, it might be nice to recognize our local EMS as being amazing individuals and an amazing service, so.
We can be magnanimous and extend it for another week.
There we go. Let's extend it for another week. We'll do it for 2 weeks.
Okay, so what is the end of this week? The date would be the 28th? We'll go to Sunday, we'll go to the 30th. How's that? So, do you want me to read it? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, to designate the weeks of May 16th through May 30th, 2021 as Emergency Medical Services Weeks. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even in the face of danger and adversity. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, including vaccinations, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services consist of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishment of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week now, therefore, we, the town of Lincoln, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the weeks of May 16th through May 30th, 2021 as Emergency Medical Services Weeks with the EMS strong theme, "This is EMS, caring for our communities." We encourage the community to observe these weeks in appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Jane, do you have this email?
No, I don't.
I will forward this to you. You'll just have to change some dates and such.
Perfect.
And if we could make some sort of a certificate and sign it and mail it to him, that would be fabulous.
That writing?
I'd like to publicly thank Linwood Ambulance Service for their fantastic service to the towns of Lincoln and Woodstock.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And
Just ship it my way.
The other thing I had was we got an email from Amy Barnaby, and I did a little research on it. I could read, want me to read that email?
can I
Was
just,
it-
that I did respond questioning her inquiry. And she's, that we, like, I didn't even know what she was talking about for a mask mandate. And then she asked what we had, and I said, we've not enacted anything. And she said, I want to take a step back. And her question got answered, that we never voted on or enacted any kind of a local mask mandate. We were just adhering to state.
I'd like to go a step further with that, though. She was asking why the Lincoln mask mandate has not ended, and I assumed she meant that we require masks in town hall or in, town buildings, the community center, town building, rec center, et cetera. And she asked specifically what New Hampshire statute rule, who via authorized RSA do we have to do anything? So I did a little research and made a phone call. And New Hampshire RSA 41:11-a. The selectmen shall have authority to manage all real property owned by the town and to regulate its use. So we are allowed by statute to require masks on any municipal property in or around. So
Thank you.
I just want to answer her question. And that's all I had.
All right, just a couple of other things. The hazmat kickoff meeting by Zoom is Thursday at 9 a.m.
May, something, yeah,
May 27th?
yeah.
That is Thursday,
Yes.
yeah.
This Thursday.
I believe I was assigned to that committee.
I believe you were.
You
Yes,
guys-
yes, Yeah, absolutely.
Timmy and I voted
Timmy, you
in
voted
that,
me
yeah.
in. Thank you both.
Yeah,
I
you're welcome.
will attend that by Zoom. You had forwarded some a proposed vaccine legislation that New Hampshire Municipal Association is opposing.
Right,
I've not read, that came,
that came today, just came into me today and you got it, so.
Okay, I haven't
just
read
look
it
that
at all.
over, it's, that's pretty far reaching and has a bunch of troubling. It's pretty troubling, so.
okay, I haven't even
They
read
just,
it.
if you guys could,
Yeah,
and then I could sign
two
on.
of the things, I mean, they highlighted was the mandate of masking and even asking about vaccinations, which we haven't, you
No,
put a policy in place, we couldn't do it anyway, so, I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but that's in a nutshell, a couple of the
Yeah.
salient points on it.
yeah, so it's,
Yeah, the goals were requiring vaccinations prior to attending school next fall. So there's legislation in there to prevent schools from requiring COVID vaccinations. So,
so a lot of it takes. a lot
All right, I'll read what
Read it through it.
what's in
Just-
there. And then the other thing we need to discuss is the state, I don't know if this is a grant or matching grant. We have a pre-application that's due on June 1st.
Yeah, Weston and Sampson is, we have a pre-application for the wastewater power survey they did.
Yeah.
And it's there's no, and that's all done, ready to go in. The,
This was a planning grant of up to $75,000.
yeah,
I don't think you were on the call that night, but we had with Sam Kenny and the folks from the state.
Yeah, I was.
And, oh, were you on that?
Yeah,
And NHEC, remember what they said, you know,
Right.
the payback period and, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was
great forgiveness. I mean,
Yeah.
so that pre-application is all set to go.
beautiful.
And they haven't charged us anything to put it together, so it's going in. The pre-app doesn't commit us, it just.
Right, but he had two questions.
Yeah.
One was about the water rates. We showed the rates as, quote, none specified, again, on this form. Does the town want to revisit this methodology this year and include some cost related to a connection fee, meter fee, flat fee that the accounts are paying? It may be worth considering this approach and let us know if you want to have a quick discussion on it.
So that I told them to, we're gonna supply them with water, sewer tap fees, water tap fees. That is to show the state we are collecting funds.
There's a fee, right?
It's a fee. We put in for this grant last year and was immediately shot down because we weren't accounting for water and the whole thing. So what they're trying to do is come up with some ammo to get us on the list again. And I think the question is, are we gonna try to take the meter thing back to the town? Is the board considering that or not considering it? 22.
And do they think that an answer would help us?
I think
In
they're
this
looking at
process.
anything in this application, pre-app, to get us higher in the pecking order. You know, if we're legitimately trying to do something that
Well,
moves us
could
up.
we put that, you know, in the application, I know it's just about ready to be sent in. Could we put in that the board is considering either a flat fee and or water meters?
That's up to you guys. I mean, yeah, you guys.
are we considering a flat fee or doing water meter warrant again?
If we left it so that it's under discussion, we haven't made a decision, we can't make a decision by the 1st of June. So we've got to say something, you know, in there that, I mean, we can discuss it right now or, you know, just say, yeah, we'll consider that in the future going forward. And I mean, you could cite the fact that the water meters were presented to the town, but the town voted that down. I mean, that's an important
Yeah.
fact that this board did take
I
a
think
step
that's what-
forward.
The engineer, Weston Sampson is saying is, that's clear, but going for this, it's a new year now, what's the towns, are you gonna, is it gonna be brought up again, do you have any? Without stretching the truth, we just gotta know where are we going?
I mean, you know, at this point, I would say that that all options are still under consideration, whether it's doing nothing, doing water meters with a fee, doing a flat fee, or doing some hybrid type charging system, or just leaving it as it is. I mean, I don't know. I would say that all of those things are on the table.
And I think to include those in the application makes the application,
Okay,
they're
I
not
can
sitting,
relay that.
they're not
Alright.
sitting on their.
I'll just
they're doing
relay
something.
that and have them put it in the app with that kind of language, and we'll just see what happens in pre-app. Yeah.
All right, and then he goes on to the second thing was about the project budget.
He's put the full budget
Based on a $3.6 million total cost,
for the tank.
less the Northern Borders grant.
Yep.
Okay,
And that's
That was option 2B there.
2B.
Yeah,
So
2B.
he's going with the 2B. It's just, he was trying to get the water meter thing in as ammo for this. But the funding for the tank, that type structure is 100%. It probably is going to be, what we're hearing is as this thing shakes out across the country, you know, it's going to get cut back to 60%, 70% shares, but right now it's 100%. So that's the free money, you know. Right?
all right, good, so long as that gets in by, I mean.
It'll be in,
June-
they're
June
ready to
1st is-
they're ready to hit the send button. It was just a couple of, so
Okay.
we'll be in time.
Okay,
It's ready to go, so.
You'll send us a copy of that complete.
Well, they'll give, once they send it.
Yep. Thank you.
all right, did you have anything else?
Nope, you covered the issues that I was going
All right, then we'll move on
to.
to,
Oh, one other issue.
Yep.
There was a woman that sent out an email to, I don't know, 600 people about ballots.
Yeah. We, the town clerk sent her what we had, and we've heard nothing further.
All right.
So
Just was wondering if.
Yeah, I think it's over the town that had him on a recount in the state or something. It was,
Yeah.
that's what fueled the whole thing. So, yeah, we've heard nothing else.
Okay, thank you.
all right, then I'll open up for is one other thing?
Well, I don't, do you have to publicly motion for that? You signed that, but I don't know having that. It's up to you. I don't want to give you if you don't have.
This is, I mean, just so people know, in full disclosure, this is, she's handing me an abatement request from New Hampshire Electric Cooperative. We agreed to a 3-year program of how to abate the money that the court ordered.
Right.
And this is year 3 of the 3. So we voted on this.
You did.
Whole thing, well, 3 years ago, or
Yeah.
2 years ago. This is the
Right,
3rd year.
and this is the third one.
It doesn't need.
But it's an abatement in the amount of $64,533.33 for this tax year. Just to make it, avoid any controversy, I'll make a motion that we grant the abatement.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, you already signed. I made a copy to ask you.
Oh,
Because I didn't think Kristen had told you. I wasn't sure. I just wanted to back her up.
Okay,
That's it. You already signed,
got
but
it.
we don't have a motion.
All right,
And we do now.
so how do we do? And now I'll open it up for public participation.
Paul has his hand up, OJ?
Yep, go ahead, Paul.
OJ, good evening. Hey, I saw on the town's website that they've hired 2 police officers. My understanding after listening to your earlier meetings during the budget reductions was that 1 police officer was going to be hired in July and 1 in December. Can you straighten me out on that?
I believe that one
One was a
new
fellow.
one was gonna be hired in July and one new one was gonna be hired in December.
Right.
At the time, we had an opening of an existing officer who left. So that
So
was,
you had one existing officer that currently left?
We had two openings, two openings in addition to the two new officers we're gonna get. We had two,
Oh, so you had two officers that left?
correct.
Yes.
One was
Okay,
going to the
All right.
sheriff's department and the other one went someplace else.
that corrects that. Thank you. How do I get a copy of that water and sewer report from Ray? Do I just
You just ask for it, we'll get it to you
we'll
tomorrow.
email it.
It came in
email
today.
it?
So,
Okay, yep. And the last thing, I gotta tell you, still as a taxpayer, I am not happy with the fact that Woodstock did not want to join in and charge for brush. The solid waste facility charges for things like washers and dryers, which there's no fee to dispose of, and certain other items. And, you know, from my recollection, to get rid of the brush cost $10,000 or more, I think, didn't it? It just seems like it's not a very fair thing to all taxpayers to not charge for brush for those who don't do it. I mean, I'm one of the ones that do bring a little bit of brush every now and then, but it certainly is not a very good thing as far as recovering the cost of an expense. And I don't think that the taxpayers in Lincoln, and I won't speak for them tonight, I'll just speak for myself. I'm not very happy that we're not doing that just because Woodstock doesn't want to do it. I think Lincoln should take the lead and say, yes, we want to do it. Lincoln manages that solid waste facility. It's not, Woodstock just tags along and pays the bill. And, you know, maybe they want to pay the whole bill, but I don't think Lincoln should. I really do. This is the type of stuff I think to the board that I think leaves a bad taste in taxpayers' mouths.
Okay,
And that's all I have.
right? Anyone else?
I think Al.
Al, did you want to say something? Nope. All right, then I'm gonna make a motion, we go into non-public for an update on a personnel issue and further discussion on the CRVI legal issue.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.